Welcome back to Music Kingdom. It's been about a month and a half now since I last reviewed Metallica on this channel, and so I thought, yeah, alright, let's do another. Among the Metallica songs I've reviewed on this channel, I would say my subjective favorite has been Fade to Black, and I recall on that video in the comments, a lot of you guys were saying if I like that song, then I should check out this song. And so in this video, we will be listening to, giving a music theory breakdown for, and blindly reviewing Welcome Home Sanitarium by Metallica. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, my name is Francis. If you are a fellow nerd for music such as myself and you enjoy not just reactions but in-depth reviews and analysis of songs, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. Alright, now before we give the song a listen, first let's briefly talk Welcome Home Sanitarium by Metallica. Welcome Home Sanitarium is from Metallica's third studio album titled Master of Puppets, released in 1986. Not only was it a single from the album as well, it was also Metallica's second ballad, notably after Fade to Black, and of course preceding One. Now regarding information on the album Master of Puppets, back when I reviewed the song Master of Puppets, I did go much more in depth about history, context, facts, trivia, so to avoid being redundant, in this video I will keep it just about the song, but if you'd like to learn more about the album Master of Puppets, feel free to check out that video. Now the song Welcome Home Sanitarium is presumably about a man who is trapped in a sanitarium, which in this song is described as a mental asylum. He dreams of breaking free, and later in the song there seems to be a mutiny of some sort in which the people trapped in the sanitarium rebel against the officials of the sanitarium, and James says he's got some death to do and that it seems the only way of breaking free, most likely implying that he is likely to kill the officials in order to break free. Now something else I think is really cool about the song, at least regarding trivia, is that supposedly it was based upon the book and or film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And another little interesting bit of trivia that you guys will have to confirm or deny down below in the comments is that some Metallica fans claim that the main riff is a pretty blatant ripoff of an obscure song called Rainbow Warrior by Bleak House. Now obviously I couldn't tell you, so again I am very curious if that's true. Because obviously in the world of music there is going to be inspiration and then there's going to be just ripping something off. Now also before listening, as usual, a few quick disclaimers. Disclaimer number one, I know that a lot of you guys would prefer for me to enjoy the live rendition of a particular song, but on this channel I prefer to listen to the studio version first, get familiar with that, and then go and enjoy a live version for contrast. Disclaimer number two, I would like to acknowledge that this is by no means a deep cut by Metallica, so if you'd like for me to check out some deep cuts that you're familiar with, drop them in the comments down below. Alright, and final disclaimer. I swear to God, there's usually a third. Okay, yes, I do remember. Usually I elaborate on the fact that I am not a metalhead, but that I still have reverence for the genre and all that stuff. But honestly, at this point, I have reviewed so many metal songs on this channel, it's really not worth bringing up anymore. Alright, at long last, it's time we give the song a listen, and just a heads up, I will be pausing a few times to share my thoughts, but ultimately to avoid any copyright strikes. And as always, be sure to stick around after the song for a music theory breakdown from our expert, and then we're going to divide the song into specific categories, grading them each, averaging them out, and arriving at an overall score. I've always enjoyed their slower introductions that kind of lull you in, gradually build. Love that. I like the scratch of the guitar too. Great introduction. gradually building even beyond the introduction. Thoughts so far, as mentioned, I always appreciate the slower introduction that lulls you in and builds up to the song. In my, call it, ignorance to the genre of metal as a whole, since I do know a fair amount so far, but not a ton, I don't want to assume that Metallica is really the only band who does an introduction like that, but I would assume that they're the ones who mastered that type of approach to starting a song. Which in my limited exposure to Metallica is yet another thing they do very well and very consistently. And as always with Metallica songs that tend to start slower, I am very curious and excited to see what direction the song is going. The lyrics are obviously well written, but in a very storytelling type of way, in my opinion. Metallica guitar solos never fail to take me back whenever they hit. It's like I'm expecting them. And then it's like I'd never heard one before whenever it happens. I'm not doubting he's a great vocalist, but at times he almost sounds flat. But I know he has power and all that, I'm not negating that. Keep him tight and makes him well. He's getting better, can't you tell? No more can they keep us in. Listen, damn it, we will win. They see it's right, they see it well. I like how they know when to put that extra guitar in there to beef it up. Solid composition. Just leave me alone. Sanitarium. Oh man. I'm enjoying this contrast. Okay, so truth be told, I am not here to kiss any Metallica fans' asses, I will be honest. At this point in the song, I am glad that they decided to change it up a bit, and I figured they would, but I will say, as well written the lyrics are, as well produced and put together the song is, honestly, at least for me subjectively, it was feeling a little bit redundant. And I know that all music is repetitive by nature, or at least most music, but I think with the whole lulling you in thing, it might have been to a point where I was almost too lulled in, coupled with, honestly, not the best vocals in the world. Not to dismiss how he can sing very hard and aggressively better than most, absolute legend status in that regard. So yes, kudos to them for keeping it fresh at this point in the song. And even though I said everything I just said, I am still very excited to see where the song goes. Obviously. Oh! That felt too short of a solo. Oh. And I like the two different types of solos. One was just face-melting shredding, and now you have one that's a bit more tasteful and melodic, which is a good balance. And they're so tight as a band. they're also superb at their music fitting the aesthetic of the lyrics. It always matches so well. Very cinematic. All right. Interesting finish. I enjoyed it. Alright, initial thoughts before we go to the expert's corner and before I break apart the song giving it a score, which is when I'll give more of my objectivity to the song, but for now, subjectively speaking, honestly, I wasn't the biggest fan. And no, I'm not hating on Metallica. I absolutely loved Fade to Black, and I really liked the song One from their album And Justice for All, as well as other Metallica songs I have heard that I have not reviewed, such as The Unforgiven or Nothing Else Matters, so on and so forth. But yes, regarding subjective enjoyment, me personally, I would put this one closer to Master of Puppets, the song. Very good songs, insanely respectable songs, heck, legendary songs, but for whatever reason just didn't necessarily tickle my fancy. I don't know. But fear not, when I am grading the song, breaking it apart into different categories, I will give it the praise it deserves. But before I can do that, first let's go to the expert's corner for a music theory breakdown and to see how he grades the song's composition.
Welcome to the Expert's Corner. This is Welcome Home Sanitarium by Metallica, and I am here to give it a composition score. This song is in the key of E minor. I love a good minor key. And it's got a couple of different time signatures happening. So a considerable amount of the song is in common time, just 4/4. However, there's a bit at the beginning and then a little later where it goes into something different. And it really depends on just how you want to split it up or even what tempo the song's at. Some could say it's in 10/4. Some could say it's in alternating bars of 4/4 and 6/4. Or if you want to take it at a really slow tempo, you could just call it 5/4. Up to you, whatever floats your boat. I think this song does some cool, unique things, one of them being a chord progression near the end. It goes E minor, D major, F major, which is kind of a surprise to the ear, I love that one, then C major, B major, then back. I'm a sucker for unique chord progressions, and that there is a pretty unique one, so overall, I wouldn't call this song a compositional masterpiece. However, I do have to give it props for one thing, and that is melodic intricacy. I listened to it a few times, and I have to say that every single time I heard something new, some small thing the guitars were doing melodically, or some subtlety that I didn't hear the previous time. Just like other Metallica songs we've reviewed, it was just a tight production. You can tell these guys have a ton of musicianship. They're extremely talented. I love the guitar solo. So that being said, I'm going to be giving this song a 7 out of 10. The reason it's not higher is just because structurally, chord-wise, progression-wise, it just really wasn't anything that amazing. However, still a solid song and a respectable score. Back to you, Francis.
A very special thank you to our expert for providing a music theory breakdown and giving the song's composition a healthy 7 out of 10. And now it's time to divide the song into 4 more categories, grading them each, averaging them out, and arriving at an overall score. Starting out with the category of production specifically, I'm inclined to give it a very good 7.5 out of 10. Obviously, with the genres of hard rock and metal, it is difficult to gauge the category of production, but even still, you can appreciate the effect on the vocals, you can appreciate how well it's mixed, in addition to the instruments doing a tremendous job of really nailing that aesthetic regarding the lyrics, as well as other production decisions which, yes, do tend to blend a bit with composition, at least in terms of knowing when to throw in the solo, knowing when to really give the drums an extra kick. Decisions like that overall which have to do with how well the song is executed, which, as mentioned, in my opinion, is very good, but nothing necessarily mind-blowing, and that's okay, especially for the genre it's in. Alright, up next we have the category of vocals, which I'm inclined to give a modest modest 6 out of 10. Now, before I piss off an entire community of Metallica fans, let me be clear. I am not saying he is a bad vocalist. In fact, quite the contrary. He is one of the most legendary metal vocalists of all time. However, I am grading this song specifically in particular. And while yes, most certainly there are parts of the song where the grit and scratch and power of the voice is most certainly showcased, otherwise if we're talking about the remaining majority of the song, especially the verses, then I would say the vocals were pretty mediocre or good at best. And that's okay. I am not hating on Metallica, and I would acknowledge and argue that the vocals in this song are not the star of the show anyway. They're not the point. So let's get to the point. Up next, we have the category of lyrics, which I feel are the point of this song, and I'm going to give them a very great 8.5 out of 10. Of all the categories that any given song has, the category of lyrics is where this song shines specifically. Not to say the composition or the production aren't good either, but for me at least, this song is about the storytelling, which it does very effectively. It certainly helped keep me engaged, and I would assume it's what a lot of Metallica fans love this song for. Yes, there is a face-melting guitar solo. Yes, there are varying time signatures with the drums, but they obviously would not hit as hard or mean as much without the lyrics in the first place. Very well written, borderline poetic, and as I've come to expect now with Metallica, very raw, authentic, expressive. Especially given the fact that the song was written, 37 years ago? So in many ways, the craft of their songwriting was ahead of its time. And on that note, arriving at our final category of originality, I'm inclined to give it an 8 out of 10. One thing that has been very consistent in every Metallica review I've done on this channel is their undeniable originality. Whether it's the subject matter of the lyrics, whether it is the face-melting guitar solos, whether it is the certain chord progressions that tug on your heartstrings, or even more obviously and evidently, the way that they helped create an entire genre of music. Metallica is top tier. They are creative, they are expressive, they are artistic, they are authentic, and they are 100% inspired. To be honest, this song is no different. The only reason it gets an 8 and not a 9 or a 9.5 or a 10 is because I would argue that they have other songs even more original than this one. Must be nice to be so amazing that you are your own worst enemy. And lastly, something else worth mentioning that I never cease to marvel at is the fact that they were so young when they executed this level of excellence. I would assume that in this song, they're younger than I am right now, which is very humbling. So now if we add it all up, including the expert's composition score, and average it out, Welcome Home Sanitarium from Metallica's third studio album titled Master of Puppets, released in 1986, gets a very solid 7.4 out of 10. Now obviously with how devout some of you guys are, I am expecting some pushback, and I welcome it. That's the fun part of this channel, getting nerdy with music. But for what it's worth, if I am ignoring the legendary and rightfully so status of the song, and I just hear it for what it is, I would say it is a very good song, but not quite an insanely great or amazing song, which is reflected by a 7.4. As usual, let me know if I'm right on the money, batshit crazy, or somewhere in between, as well as what other Metallica songs you'd like for this channel to review next. As mentioned, if you are a fellow nerd for music, such as myself, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. This has been another edition of Music Kingdom. Thank you so much for listening with me, and I'll look forward to jamming with you in the next one.